This week's parsha is the most important parsha in the entire Torah. You may ask, why is this week's parsha the most important in the entire Torah? Well, let me tell you. Parashah Matot Massei is a double parsha that brings us to the end of the book of Bamidbar. We have laws of vows and oaths and a war with Midian. We learn how to divide up the spoils of war and how to kosher the vessels. We have a request by Reuben and Gad to stay on the east side of the Jordan River. We learn about the boundaries of the land of Israel, and we learn about cities of refuge. But none of that is why this is the most important parsha in the Torah. The reason this is the most important parsha is because it teaches us about the tension between voice and actions, our words and our swords. The parsha opens with Moshe gathering the heads of the tribes and saying, "This is the thing that Hashem commanded." Normally when Moshe teaches something from Hashem, he speaks to the whole nation. Here he's making a special class for the 12 tribal leaders. Feels like something major's about to go down. So what is this thing that Hashem commanded? If a man takes a vow, he shall not desecrate his word. Sure, keeping your word is critically important, but why teach it here? And why just to the 12 tribal leaders? I wanted to share 3 approaches to these questions. First, according to the Chatam Sofer, the message here is that if we take our speech seriously, then Hashem will take our speech seriously. If we don't keep the vows we make to one another, how can we be trusted to keep our vows that we've made to Hashem? Remember, at Sinai, we took a vow as a nation, binding for all generations to keep the Torah, Massei v'nishma. And here, Moshe is reminding us, as we're about to enter the land of Israel, that vow remains binding. But why is it being taught now? Why wouldn't that have been taught right after we accepted the Torah at Mount Sinai? That brings me to my second idea, this one from Rabbi Moskowitz. He says, over the last half of the book of Bamidbar, a story has been playing out. That's the story of words versus actions. We have Israel using their hands in war. We have the spies misusing speech by speaking badly about the land of Israel. We have Moshe being told to use his voice to speak to the rock, but instead uses his hands to hit the rock. We have Bilam using his words to try to curse the nation, but instead blesses us. And we have Pinchas taking actions with his hands, killing Zimri and Cosbi. So in this parsha, just before the nation goes to battle with Midian, and just before we start a years-long battle to claim the land of Israel, Moshe gathers the people and reminds us, remember, the sword alone isn't enough to lead us to victory. Our words matter just as much. Use our words properly, and that'll help us be successful with our swords. The Sfas Emes has a different approach to the same question of why these laws are taught here. He says, what happened just before these laws of vows are taught? The end of last week's parsha had the list of offerings that we are to bring on the holidays. The laws of how to properly use our speech are brought right after the offerings to teach us that when offerings can no longer be brought, we replace them with our speech. Prayer, speaking to Hashem, takes the place of offerings. Using our voice to praise Hashem takes the place of using our hands to bring offerings. Words replace actions. All of these approaches brings the story full circle back to the early chapters of the book of Bereshit, when Jacob tricked Yitzchak into giving him Esav's blessing. What did Yitzchak say? Hakol kol Yaakov v'hayadayim yedei Esav. The voice is the voice of Yaakov, but the hands are the hands of Esav. For the Jewish people to succeed, we need to be able to balance the power of the voice and the power of the hands. Combine speech with actions, words and swords. For 2,000 years, our people have been a people of words, the voice taking priority over the hands. In the words of Ezra Weitzman, we are a people of words and hope. We have neither established empires nor built castles and palaces. We have only placed words on top of each other. But today, once again, we have the ability and unfortunately the necessity to use our hands to defend our people, our nation, and our land. So today we have to once again find the balance in this tension between voice and action, words and swords. And we can look to this week's parsha for how to properly strike that balance. That is one reason why this is the most important parsha in the entire Torah. But the other reason is that the most important piece of Torah is whatever piece of Torah you have in front of you right now. Shabbat Shalom and Am Yisroel Chai.